the game, cause see the boxing voice.
We're going to move on now to the contest at hand, and that is Garcia Guerrero. Garcia Guerrero is being offered in a multitude of ways right now. The thing that I like about this contest this year, the first one they're starting off with is, first of all, it's 3 weeks. For those of you that are familiar with the 2-week contest from last year, but it's being offered in so many ways right now. You can play a $10 game, right? Still plenty of room in that. There's a $2 game. There is a $10 heads-up game, a $25 heads-up game, which actually those are full right now, but hopefully maybe they'll add another one. They have a $50 heads-up game and a $100 heads-up game. So all these heads-up games, they're perfect. I actually have somebody on Twitter, and we're going to get in a heads-up game here pretty soon. I might even publicize it here on the show, use it as part of my segment. But so anyway, they're offering it in multitude of ways, but like always, you can go to Throwdown Fantasy and sign up and play for free. So I'm just going to highlight a few guys that I've seen that stuck out to me. Sammy Vasquez is being offered in this game. Sammy Vasquez is going to be my guarantee pick of the year. Of this contest. And the reason why is because you look at the most expensive fighter on the bill, and that's Deontay Wilder, who cost $5,600 this week. Okay, coming up, and you also have Danny Garcia, who costs $5,500 this week. And I'm going to get into those in just a bit, but before highlighting on Sammy Vasquez only costs $5,000. $5,000 for what he is averaging 92 fantasy points per fight. Okay, he's landing 126 punches and he's throwing 343 punches, connecting for 36%. Listen, if you know Sammy Vasquez, then you know that when I say he's a 5-tool player, what I mean is that, and I've used this term before, he's the guy who's going to produce you a lot of offense, but in so many different categories. You know, some guys throw a lot of punches, but don't knock you out. Some guys can knock you out and, you know, don't throw a lot of punches. There's just a lot of variations. Sammy Vasquez is the complete package. Okay, you look at his connect percentage, you look at, you know, his punches landed and all those things. He can take Aaron Martinez out early. That's the biggest key to this one. I think that he can stop Aaron Martinez. You look at Aaron Martinez, I respect the man. He had a huge year last year, but let's face it, you know, he looked good against a guy in Robert Guerrero, you know, and so just like his bread and butter, it's speculative. And I think that when you look at Sammy Vasquez, he's coming in with so much momentum. I think he's a guy that you're going to want to have on every single team you draft. And at $5,000, he is a cheaper fighter than most. The next guy I want to go to is actually Glaskov. And it's funny that we had Dominic Breazeale on the show today, and he talked about the Glaskov fight because I highlighted in my head, and I think to myself, you know, when you got Glaskov, he's fighting Charles Martin. What does Charles Martin represent? Charles Martin represents a fighter who has never been tested. I think Glaskov, who is going for $4,900, he's landing 176 punches, and he's throwing 477 per fight. He's the kind of fighter that can produce big results, and he doesn't have to produce big results at 4,900. That's the biggest point of this, is that you look at value. Just like the Toronto Johnson example, this Glaskov fight at 4,900, he can produce more than that. At 4,900, all he has to do is score like 54 points, 50 points, and that's basically getting the win. I think against Charles Martin, he is a lock for that win. So I do want to go over a couple guys to avoid, and I don't usually like doing this. I feel negative when I do this, but I'm going to do it. The name of the contest, obviously Garcia Guerrero, and the two guys that I want you to avoid are Garcia and Guerrero. And this is for the reason that Garcia is the second most expensive fighter at $5,500. Okay, he's averaging 68.1 fantasy points. He's landing 143, and he's throwing 474 with a connect percentage of 30. That's not bad. It's not. But the 5,500, that is bad. That is bad. And real quick with Robert Guerrero, he's coming in at 4,200, and he's scoring 56.5 points on average, landing 188, throwing 653. I love Robert Guerrero. I love those punches he throws. And normally I'd say that this is a guy you want on your team because he does only cost $4,200. but I don't see any way that he's going to do anything with those punches. And so in just having that one category isn't going to produce you many points. I don't think he's going to win. And Danny Garcia, on the other hand, he should win, but I don't think he's going to get the knockout. Look at Robert Guerrero and all the guys that he's been in there with heavy hands. I don't think it's going to be Danny Garcia, basically a bloated welterweight still in his career, that's going to stop him. I'd stay away from both these guys. If somehow you can get a couple of 5,000 plus guys on your team and Robert Guerrero is, the only guy that you can afford, it's not a terrible pick because he does have that 653 punches thrown per fight average. So if you're going to only bank on one thing, that thing is the thing to bank on, because at least he has one category. So the last couple of things that I really want to just touch on, Sergey Kovalev is coming in at 5,200 versus Jean Pascal, who's coming in at 5,500. This is, for me, I feel like it's a trick a little bit because Kovalev is coming in at 5,200. It seems like, oh, well, he's cheaper, so I got to go with him, right? Because he's going to produce more fantasy points than the number dictates. But that's not always the case with Sergey Kovalev. We saw in his fight with Jean Pascal, I wouldn't say that he struggled, but he wasn't the wrecking machine that we've come to know him by. He did produce a significant number in that first fight, but coming in with this fight, I think Sergey Kovalev is a guy you want on your team at 5,200. He's scoring 92.5. He's scoring 87.4 fantasy points per fight. He's landing 92 punches and throwing 272 punches. The only issue it's going to be here is if he does stop Pascal, when will he stop him? Because a lot of his points, Kovalev's points, hinge on getting that early stoppage. For me, for Jean Pascal at 5,500, no way. I'm staying far, far away from him. There's just no way that I'm going to bank that he's going to beat Kovalev, and I'm not going to spend $5,500 on a guy that's scoring 50 points. So just an overall view of everything, real quick, going to the overall view of it all and all the matches. Like I said, Wilder's 5,600. He's averaging 95 points. Arthur Spilka, his opponent, 69.6 points is what he's averaging. He's going for 4,300. And the one other one is Dominic Breazeale and Amir Mansour. Dominic Breazeale's got a good price to him, and Amir Mansour is going for 4,500. He's averaging 47.2 points. So at the end of the day, when you look back on all of these fights and when you look at what's going to produce the best results for your team, it's going to be budgeting. The contest before, one of the last contests of the year, I said it was all about getting that guaranteed win because of the prices. And this one, this is going to be all about budgeting. There are guys there that worth value that are under 5,000, and there are guys there with value that are in the 5,000 range. Okay, and that's your marker. Below 5,000 are the cheaper guys, and obviously 5,000 above are the more expensive guys. Just find your value. That's the best advice that I can give you for today. Don't chase knockout guys like Deontay Wilder. Okay, don't chase what seem to be guaranteed wins in Jamal James. Those aren't going to pay off for you like they have in the past, where you build your team around these guys. You can't pick one guy and build your team around. Not with this contest. It's far too complicated. Trust me, guys. I've ran the math. This is, my opinion, one of the best contests. Obviously, we're in the brand new year, but this is one of the best contests in the history of Throwdown because it's very, very, I wouldn't say difficult, but it's very, very challenging to find that perfect team. I put up 5 teams. I'll probably put up another 2. And so when I look at all my teams, none of them are the same. The only fighter that I have on every single team has been Sammy Vasquez, and I think Sergey Kovalev, if I'm not mistaken. They've been either or. So that's been your Throwdown Fantasy Minute with Mario. Any questions or anything like that, you can email the Boxing Voice, Yahoo, or you can hit me up on Twitter. And for anybody looking for head-to-head matchups, hit me up. I'm ready to play.